Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Table Talk. I'm your host, Jake Combs, and tonight we're doing a special weekend episode, and we are going to be unboxing some of the Barnes & Noble special game boxes. Basically, each one of these is a standalone game. Now, the two that we have in front, Fireteam and Doomsday Countdown, have been actually out for a little while, but we did not open them and do our video because we were waiting for Bladeborn to officially be past the embargo date, which officially, as of today, when we post the video, not when we filmed it, we will finally be there. So we're going to go ahead and go through all these together. Like I said, these are all exclusive to Barnes & Nobles. I believe some of these can be ordered through the Games Workshop website, but otherwise you'd have to get it through the bookstore. So starting with Fireteam, looking at it, it kind of looks like it's meant to be kind of as an introduction to Kill Team. Looking at the cards, they look very much like the new Kill Team format. It does have a small amount of miniatures with it, specifically Necrons and Space Marines. Alright, so right off the bat, we're going to take a look at the tokens and our board. So here's our board. With the hex pattern, I mean, this could easily work for a smaller game of Aeronautica Imperialis, for example. Then we have all of our tokens. I'm guessing these are probably like objective markers, wound markers, things like that. We have our rulebook, as well as a little ad insert for White Dwarf, it appears. So it goes through. Now, what I really like about this is, even though this is made more for a smaller production run, it's still a very high quality rulebook that you're getting. Full color images, details, even gives you a little bit of lore, some kind of a quick details about some of the other groups that are out there. Now, it's possible that these groups are able to be played in this game. So if they are, that would be just a few that you would need to pick up in order to play them with this, which, based on the number of models, I'm assuming is going to be less than what you need for a full Kill Team game, unless the points are just that much higher because the models are that much more effective. Now, the only difference here between what we're used to seeing with most Games Workshop stuff is with the assembly guide. Now, with these, I mean, it does show details of how to put everything together. With these, they're also push to fit, so they're only really going to go one way. But you don't have a lot of like that two-tone assembly information like what we're used to seeing. Now, it's kind of funny that the Space Marines basically get, one page and then one little rectangle on the second page, where the Necrons get almost 3 full pages just for their assembly. And then we have our insert here that has all of our various cards, the war gear, the actual squads themselves. So we're going to go ahead and open up the squads. And of course it is fighting me. There we go. Now, if you are using a knife to open these things up, I do recommend you always cut away from yourself. All right, so as I assumed, we do have the squad cards for those different squads, even though we only have the Necron and Space Marine squads in here. Excuse me. And then we have our, looks like our kind of deployment mission maps as well. And I do like the attention to detail where it shows like the different icons for the different spots, and where you can actually assemble at. And then here, now the plastic is stuck to my hand, there we go. All right, so we have the individual stat cards for each of the characters. So this is kind of like what they do with like Warcry, where you get the cards for each of the individual models, and then one card that has like the overall abilities for the squad. So definitely liking the similarities there, because in my opinion, Warcry is by far one of the best games that they've come out with. And then like Harlequin's there, Tau, things like that. And then just not sure what this card is for. So now getting into the models, we have one half sprue of the Space Marines. Now, again, these are push to fit, so they're made to where you're not really needing glue to get them into place. Now, if you are going to use glue, I recommend trimming a lot of the posts, so that way the glue actually has room to kind of sit in between. Otherwise, you're going to end up with a lot of gaps. As far as the detail goes, not sure how well you guys can see that there. It's about, it's not as high as we would see on most Space Marines, but definitely decently high for a board game that you're going to be getting through a bookstore. And then we have one of the larger sprues. Now this one does have a bit of a curve to it. The way it is in my package, I would assume that that's unintentional, but it is a little bit pliable. Now, the plastic used here, and as well as the Space Marine sprue, feels a lot, I'd say, more durable than what we typically see for Games Workshop models, and which is probably why there's not nearly as much detail as we usually see. Now with the Necrons, though, we do have a lot more detail, especially on their Gauss or Gauss weapons, however you want to say that. We have our bag of bases, and we have our bag of dice. And then what I really like is this tray holder that's designed to actually allow each of the models to slide into place and be kept there, so they're secured for transport. I think that is a huge bonus for this set. I wish that more of the boxes that Games Workshop has come out with would have things like that in them. But at the same time, I also know that, like with a lot of those Games Workshop boxes, you also have a lot of terrain that you're dealing with. So it's going to be a lot more difficult to do those kinds of boxes for them. Now we're looking at Doomsday Countdown. This is the third game in the Space Marines Adventures franchise. Now, what I like about this one is, like, right off the bat, we're getting models that for the Chaos Cultists from Blackstone Fortress. We're getting more Space Marines with these. We're also getting tiles that work very much with, as far as their shape for Blackstone Fortress. So like if you wanted to create your own custom map, you could easily repurpose some of these pieces for that. I know Blackstone Fortress has been out of print for a while, so that'd be more for people that are looking for kind of new maps to use, maybe needing a few more cultists for their games. So we're starting with the rule book. And again, right off the bat, very high quality for the instructions. And skipping ahead, and then this one did a little bit more of the multi-tone assembly instructions. At least they're a lot easier to define, like which pieces are which as far as the color goes. So I'm glad that that's easier to notice, where the other one was much more difficult. All right, so this is all of our tiles and boards, pieces, tokens, things like that. And already I can feel it because they're all share kind of the same hex shape. They're trying to free themselves, and well, they were successful. So a few of these off. Now, from what I remember, now looking at these up close, the size of them, it looks a little bit bigger than I remember Blackstone Fortress being. So it might be a little bit more difficult to use them in that regard. But they are very high quality images on them, and definitely look very cool. So you could kind of do like a small Blackstone Fortress type thing with them if they don't match up, which I don't think that they will based on the size. We have our faces. Our dice, we have a D20 and a couple D6. We have our cards. Now with this one, we also have some of the same packaging to support the models in there. We got another partial sprue size for the Space Marines, so that one gives you 3 Space Marines. And then this gives you, looks like about 5, 6, maybe 7 or 8 cultists at most. Let's see, 3, 5. I'm counting only 5 here, which is kind of what it looked like on the back of the box. Now again, the plastic here is definitely a lot more durable. Looks like we've lost some of the detail that some of these cultists had from Blackstone Fortress, which I am assuming is due mostly because of the plastic type itself. But even so, you still have a good amount of detail on the Chaos Cultists. So looking forward to giving the next chapter of Space Marine Adventures a try. But the one that I am most looking forward to, now actually I'll move this out of the way, is Bladeborn. Now with Bladeborn, the reason why this got delayed is there was a packaging mistake where a lot of the cards were printed, I believe, in German. So when we open this up, we're going to see that. And then they've mailed out the corrected English cards, so that way we'll have them so we can do a proper review and playtest. Now, from early pictures that I've seen of Bladeborn, it came with models that were 2 different warbands for Warhammer Undergrounds, or Underworlds. Wow, I can't believe I screwed that one up. And they were actually two of my absolute favorites. So I really was looking forward to this because having more of those models to be able to kit bash, definitely some really good stuff, especially the Chaos Warrior warband is by far, I'd say, my favorite looking warband by aesthetics only. We haven't actually had a chance to play them yet, so we can't speak to how good they are, but aesthetically they are our favorite, or at least when I say our, I mean mine. So we have a Warcry Fighter rules, which, holy crap, this actually has rules for using all of the Chaos warbands in Warcry. That is awesome. I am really excited about that. And then we have our rule book. Now with it, it does show the two different warbands. So it looks like you got 6 Dark Oath from the Godsworn Hunt versus Kagra's Ravengers, which is only 4 models. So even though they're outnumbered, the other team is also outclassed as far as skill. But I love the quality of these rulebooks. Games Workshop did a fantastic job on these. I don't know if I mentioned it before, but Games Workshop did provide these for us for the purpose of our review. All 3 of these specifically. But that does not guarantee that we're going to have a specific opinion about them one way or the other, just that we would review them. So these are what the 2 warbands look like painted with the studio paint jobs. And then we do have some of the other Chaos warbands from Underworlds. And 2 of the 4 listed there we actually have. We're missing the Eyes of the Nine and Gashrax Despoilers, but otherwise we have the whole set. So definitely looking forward to getting some of them out there. And then the assembly guide, this one is a much better job on the multi-tone assembly guide. So kudos there. Now we're going to go ahead and open this up. Now looking right away at the board that's in here, looks like it's very much like a traditional Underground board. Looks a little bit bigger than what we're used to as far as overall size, but very much a very similar concept there. Now this one of the 2 sides is by far my favorite. It looks like something out of the Chaos Wastes. Really cool. And then we have our various tokens. Now with these wound tokens, they look very much like the ones from Warcry. The other tokens I am not remembering off the top of my head, and I'm pretty sure we're not done in Warcry. Alright, so both warbands comes on 2 individual sprues, or 2 of the half sprues, whatever you want to call them. And this packaging does include the nice little recesses for your models. We have our I can't remember what these are called all of a sudden. Basically our map for the match. I'm willing to bet there are some Warcry ability cards in here as well. We have a new set of dice, which very much, at least as far as the colors, look very much like the Warcry dice. But we are missing some of the emblems. And then here is the stack of cards. Now on this one it is listed as English in my box, so I'm wondering if maybe mine was not one of the ones that got messed up. But we'll go ahead and open up that in a little bit. Now, looking at the models, again, we have the same issue with the plastic itself. It is much thicker plastic, so it's going to be a lot harder to kit bash with. But like with the bases especially, we have a lot more detail on them than what we're used to seeing as far as the other boxes are concerned. Then with the Ravagers, these ones, these models have a ton more detail. The shields look like it lost a little bit of the detail there, but overall, aesthetically, these are definitely the ones to go with, just because of sheer amount of detail, the quality of the models, the sheer power of the units themselves as well. Now, from what I've read about these, is the intention is that you're going to be able to play these warbands from this box in either Warcry or Underworlds, as well as specifically in Bladeborn. So we're going to go ahead and open up those cards. And then, so some of them are artifacts. Sadly, no fancy pictures with different convergence information at the bottom. Then we have our actual Warcry / Bladeborn cards for each model, including the other Chaos Warbands. So it starts off with the Eyes of Nine, and then Garrick's Reavers, I believe they were called. The Godsworn Hunt. So definitely really excited to be able to use these in Warcry. And then we have some artifacts as well. Each one has a different picture on them, but the majority of them look like some form of potion. And then we have our twists, which kind of basically modify gameplay a little bit. So we'll just pick one at random. So grudge match. These rival warbands have met in battle before. This time there is a score to settle, and rolls to hit reroll rolls of 1. So that's pretty cool. So but that's going to affect both teams, not just one side. All right, so now so going through, it's mostly the kind of battle plans, like we mentioned, and then we go and we have the actual Warcry abilities cards, like I assumed would be here. So very cool stuff. Again, really looking forward to being able to use these models in Warcry, and really looking forward to getting them built. Now, I was hoping that the quality of the models with each of these games was going to be of the same material that most Games Workshop models are done in. That way, the idea of kit bashing is going to be much easier. But I also understand too that with those kinds of miniatures, that perhaps there's a higher cost of publishing them that way, and so maybe they choose not to do it just because of those increased costs. Now, again, this is just purely speculation. I have no idea. No one has mentioned it one way or the other to me. But That is my assumption as far as why the change in quality. But definitely some really cool games. Really looking forward to giving these games a try. The Bladeborn one especially, because like I said, Warcry is by far one of the best games that Games Workshop has ever produced, in my opinion. And the fact that we're now having the ability to go in and use previous warbands from Underworlds, where a majority of players already have those, definitely is going to make that playtime much more worthwhile, because they've already invested time into those models. So definitely some benefits there. But as far as that goes, that is it for me tonight. Thank you all for watching. I really do appreciate it. Thank you to Games Workshop for sharing these games with us. Like I said, we do look forward to actually giving them a try, and then we will write a full written review about each of these once they are finished. And all of those reviews are going to go up on our Nerd Cult online parent site. So it's nerdcultonline.com. So check that out if you haven't already, and then you'll be able to see all of our other tabletop related articles and things like that. So that's it for tonight. Thank you guys for watching. I know that it's officially Saturday when this video goes up. We still are planning on doing our usual video on this coming Wednesday, so look forward to that, because we definitely have some really cool stuff to go over for that week. So really looking forward to that. But that is it for tonight. Thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you all next week. Good night.